Good morning. Welcome to First UU. My name is Stacia. I've got short hair. I'm wearing glasses. I'm also wearing a light pink polo shirt and a multicolor scarf. My pronouns are she and her. Let us begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Neokanska people, sometimes known by the name Osage. The descendants of those people who were forcibly removed from this land make up the Osage Nation. We acknowledge their continued struggle for justice. The chalice lighter in the sanctuary is, I hope someone will tell me. Our words for chalice lighting this morning: this chalice is lit for you, were written by the Reverend Tara Humphreys. Whether you were born into this faith, found it, or it found you, whether you feel at home or are still trying to find your place, whether you believe in God, are open to mystery, or still have no idea, whether you are unemployed, underemployed, cobbling things together, overworking, or in school, whether you are holding anxiety, grief, confusion, anger, hope, restlessness, or deep peace. Unitarian Universalism has a place for you. It is right here, and this chalice is lit for you.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
All right, good morning. My name is Anna. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a late 30s white female. I've got some nice white streaks going on my shoulder length hair. I've got a purple denim skirt on today, good thrift store buy. I'm gonna read the Time for All Ages. This month, we're exploring the practice of inclusion. It might be easy to just think of inclusion in terms of not leaving people out, but that is only one part of it. When we practice inclusion, we also examine why people get left out and what we can do to break down barriers and expand our circles to make room for them again. So with that in mind, I want to share a story with you called The Fox and the Stork. One day, Fox invites Stork, Bear, Wolf, and Monkey to dinner. Fox spends all day cooking a wonderful soup that is served in wide bowls. Most of them eat until they are full, thanking Fox for the fine meal. But when Stork tries to eat, they cannot get any of the soup out of the dish, and they go away frustrated and hungry. Stork then invites Fox, Woodpecker, Monkey, and Pigeon to dinner and cooks a wonderful stew, which they serve in tall, fluted glasses. When Fox tries to lap up the food, all they can do is lick the top of the glass, meaning they go away frustrated and hungry after watching the others eat. Monkey watches the two dinners and decides to have their own dinner party. inviting each person to bring their favorite plate, bowl, or cup to eat from. When the guests arrive, Monkey fills each person's dish, and every person gets to eat and enjoy the company of their friends. This story is a wonderful reminder to think about inclusion, and including people requires us thinking ahead about everyone's different needs. It's also a good reminder that our way of enjoying something is not everyone's way. So in the week and days ahead, may all of us, kids and adults alike, work just a bit harder to remember that our way of enjoying and accessing things is not always the way others do.
It's not me. Good morning, everyone. I'm Colin Jensen. I'll be reading our joys and concerns today. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a balding guy in my 30s, and I've got my black and white checkered shirt on today. This February, we are attending to the practice of living love through the practice of inclusion. Verna Myers points out that diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. To belong is only the beginning. The true blessing of inclusion. Is everyone hearing the feedback that I am? Yes. Oh, sorry. Might be my phone. I have to connect to Zoom so I can get everybody's joys and concerns, but I haven't found a graceful way to do it yet. Maybe that'll do it, I hope. The true blessing of inclusion is not that you get to come inside the circle, it's that you get to participate in expanding it. As the circle grows, so do we. As a community, we share joys and concerns to keep connected. Slips of paper, yellow slips of paper, are available at the greeters table for those in the sanctuary to use for joys and concerns. During the week, you can send your joys and concerns by email to pastoralcare@springfielduu.org, or you can leave a voicemail on the church phone, 417-883-3922. And if you're on Zoom, please use the chat box now for sharing your joys and concerns. All of these joys and concerns will be included on the members' email on Tuesday. We honor each joy or concern with a stone dropped in a shared bowl of water, representing the ripple effect in all our lives. This morning, any children who want to are welcome to come drop a stone for us. Thank you. Miss Anna will help you, so listen closely to when she says to drop it, all right? Thank you. And now, as we begin this time of sharing, know that though we are in multiple physical spaces, we are together in beloved community. To begin, we hold in love, all of us, those present and those absent. We drop a stone for our church community. I'd like to share my own concern, some sorrow at the passing of my grandma this week. She was 99 and a half and has been through a broken hip and pneumonia and dementia, and it was time. And I am very grateful for all the death-positive conversations that I've been able to have here at church that helped me through this. I appreciate that. Do you mind dropping a stone for me? Thank you. I'm going to check the chat box. A concern from Michael Rodriguez. Babs woke up sick this morning. We drop a stone of concern. Thank you. That's all the ones I see there. I think we should drop a stone of concern for the loved ones of those who tragically died in aviation accidents recently. We drop a stone of concern for them. I'd also like us to drop a stone of concern for the federal employees who are in a very confusing time right now. We drop a stone of appreciation for their work. We honor the complex and heartbreaking struggles of our world. We drop a stone for all who are impacted. And in closing, for those joys and concerns that remain unspoken, we drop a stone. Thank you so much. May we hold each of these in our hearts and minds. May our community of love ease sorrow and boost celebration. While we are in multiple physical spaces, we still share space together here in intentional community. Any friends that would like a more interactive space, I think my kids are going to head downstairs right now. You're welcome to join them. And now, let us say goodbye to our young friends, and thank you. And now, let us join together in 1 minute of shared silence, followed by Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our theme for the month of February, I hear a lot of feedback. Do you hear it, or is it just me? Okay, it's just me. Our theme for the month of February is living love through the practice of inclusion. The opening words this morning are less beautiful without you, by Reverend Tess Baumberger. This place would be less beautiful without you. Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Jew, Hindu, humanist, and earth-centered too. This place would be less beautiful without you. Your heart honed by hardship, grief, illness, seeking solace and comfort here among us. This place would be less beautiful without you, filled with joy and gratitude, seeking celebration of life's bounty. This place would be less beautiful without you, curious, inquisitive, asking questions, seeking transformations, emerging from within. This place would be less beautiful without you. Striving to resist a world that tells us we are so much less than we can truly be. This place would be less beautiful without each of us, born here in this morning to seek heaven's fire in each other's soul. Our hymn for the month of February is We Would Be One. It was written by Unitarian minister Samuel Anthony Wright for the 1953 merger of the National Youth Organizations of the Universalists and the Unitarians. This youth-inspired merger preceded the creation of the UUA by almost a decade. We Would Be One is number 318 in the Gray Hymnal. The words will also be available on the screens. You may stand or remain seated to join in the singing.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of which we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. At one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Hello.
This week in UU history, the week of February 2nd. On February 4th, 1939, the American Unitarian Association sent Unitarian minister Waitzel Sharp and his wife Martha to Czechoslovakia to work with refugees, the people fleeing the Nazis. This was the beginning of an intense period of service for this couple from the small town of Wellesley, Massachusetts. You can learn more about this experience from the PBS documentary titled Defying the Nazis, The Sharps War.
Are you busy? Yeah.
Both the Unitarians and the Universalists mounted efforts to assist in Europe.
You have more?
Today, the UUSC, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, focuses on humanitarian aid, development, and human rights in America and throughout the world. And focusing on generosity, offering our gifts to support the work of building inclusive and just communities is one of many ways that we live into justice and equity together. Some of us have much to give, and some of us have little, and together it is enough. We are enough to work together for a world where every human can live into their best and most authentic self. If electronic giving is your preferred method, or if you are on Zoom, virtual giving options are available via our website, springfielduu.org. The offertory is More Love, an African American spiritual in an arrangement by John Prescott that also includes music by J.S. Bach, performed by the choir.
Roberta told me to go and I listened to her. I knew there was another song coming. I didn't get
Good morning. I am Jerome P. Jamrock, a humble he, him, and a man way ahead of my time, apparently. But since my mug was on TV for a longer period of time, I guess I can anticipate a larger royalty check, so it is all good. I'm going to, Reverend Joanna Lubkin is the Minister for Lifespan Learning at the UU Area Church in Sherborne, Massachusetts, and the Worship Arts Lead at the Sanctuary, Boston. She wrote this sermon, Beyond Welcome, this past September, and gives her blessing for us to read it today. And as I understand, she did a few tweaks on it recently. Have you ever been somewhere that proudly proclaimed, all are welcome, but you just got the feeling that they didn't really mean you? How does that feel in your body? And have you ever had an experience of feeling so welcomed and cared for, like you could just feel that you were wanted there? How did that feel in your body? I can't think of a single community I've been a part of which hasn't proclaimed and aspired to live out the all are welcome message. I want to live in a world and in communities where we go beyond saying all are welcome, where we cultivate that feeling of being cared for, wanted, and celebrated for who we are. This deep desire for a welcoming, diverse, multicultural community where everyone feels welcome is one of the aspects of Unitarian Universalism that many of us are most drawn to. This has especially been on my mind since I watched the opening ceremony for this summer's Paralympics. There was this big, elaborate dance sequence which had a mix of people dancing on 2 feet, as well as with canes, prosthetics, walkers, and wheelchairs. After having watched the huge, sprawling spectacle of the Olympics a few weeks before, I commented a kind of neutral, "Oh, that's neat. They made sure to have some folks with disabilities represented." But it went beyond representation, beyond just making sure they checked a box off a diversity roster. One of the commentators explained that the show, named Paradox, was meant to tell a story about inclusion. The choreographer's hope was that the performance would normalize and celebrate all bodies in all their forms, and that it wouldn't just include dancers with disabilities, it couldn't be done without them. This line took my breath away because our aim to be welcoming communities can be rooted in the knowledge that we need one another in all our myriad forms to be all we can be. I believe she wanted that repeated, so I will. This line took my breath away because our aim to be welcoming communities can be rooted in the knowledge that we need one another in all our myriad forms to be all we can be. I think about this a lot and try to remember an experience I had a few summers ago as a simple example of how we can do this. I was taking a contemporary dance class for adults, which a friend of mine was teaching. Before the first class, I let them know that while I was so excited to be getting back into dance after so many years, my body might not be up for doing everything. And could I sit in the chair to participate when I needed to? The friend assured me that'd be fine, and that nearly everyone else in this class was dancing with their own physical limitations. In one of the sessions, we were halfway through learning choreography for a dance sequence, and my legs just said, "You're done for now." So I quietly pulled out a folding chair in the back of the room and tried to modify the choreography to work while seated. I had put myself in the back so I wouldn't distract the other students by doing something different, and to my mind, less good. My teacher friend came over to check in with me and then invited me to put my chair right in the middle of the other dancers. And then this, which I love. They said, "Okay, so if Joe is seated in the middle, what if we switch around our formation so she's the anchor in the center? It could look really cool if we change up the directions a bit. This side, you reach out this way, other half, you reach out the other way, and we'll have these gorgeous levels happening." Rather than being annoyed or distracted or pitying, the whole class just said, "Oh, cool idea, let's try it." And it was just accepted, a total non-issue. Joe is dancing from this chair, and so of course we're including her. And now this dance wouldn't be the same without someone seated. Instead of tolerating a difference but looking away, we were celebrating a wider variety of bodies. A dancer seated became a feature, not a bug. Have you ever experienced this kind of welcome? The feeling of being celebrated and cared for without it being a big deal. Maybe you're bringing an infant somewhere and the host lets you know where a changing table is and a private spot to breastfeed if you want it. Or you arrive at a party and they offer not just alcoholic drinks, but fun mocktails. Or a community just has the practice of labeling dishes ingredients at their potluck so folks can choose foods that work for their dietary restrictions without feeling like they're making a fuss. Or you arrive at a church to see a ramp as well as stairs with railings and make it easier for anyone to get to the pulpit. These changes aren't often simple, but not necessarily easy to discern. To welcome well, we need to know the context. We need to build relationships, and we need the humility and openness to try something new. This fall, I got to sit in on our children's faith formation classes, and several classes put a variation of be kind, be welcoming, or be respectful on their covenant. I asked them a question I often ask of adults too. How do you know you're being welcoming? What do people do or say that helps you feel at ease? What makes you feel respected? When I was a new minister at another local congregation, I was told a story about a time when a black man was brought in to be a guest speaker to this mostly white UU congregation. The story was that the congregation was rapt, and when it was over, turned to each other to say, "That was so good." And they thanked him in the receiving line. But then the speaker himself said to one of the church's leaders that he felt so disrespected that the congregation hadn't been engaged at all, and it was very uncomfortable for him. "Oh, no, really?" the congregant responded. Why, can you tell me more?" Turns out it was because the congregation was silent while he was speaking. In his church and in his cultural traditions, if you were engaged and with the speaker, you'd speak aloud and let them know they weren't alone. If it was going really well, you'd hear a bunch of people calling out affirmations and nodding along. But that morning, these UUs had been so quiet and still, he got nothing back from them and didn't want to come back. The church leader felt so bad. In that church and cultural context, listening quietly was a way of showing respect and attention. They'd inadvertently communicated the exact opposite of the welcome and gratitude they were trying to express. Welcome is complicated and it's contextual. Like we said in our Time for All Ages, it's more often about treating others how they want to be treated than it is treating them how you want to be treated. I imagine we can all think of times where, through no conscious malice, we miss the mark on welcoming folks with identities different from our own. Here's another story, the likes of which are all too easy to find. Rayla D. Baldwin-Matson is a religious educator at one of our neighboring congregations in Massachusetts. Rayla is a black person raising 3 children as a single parent. Rayla bravely shares this reflection on the experience of not finding a seat at the table, literally and metaphorically. After having found a healing and supportive home in UU congregations, Rayla was excited to attend a conference at a well-loved UU retreat center. But when Rayla got there, some unsettling things started to happen. The other attendees seemed to hurry to end conversations with Rayla and were very quick to disengage. There was an issue with Rayla's daughter in childcare. They felt she was a problem and difficult in comparison with the other children, although a very kind person noted that she couldn't understand how this child was deemed a problem when she was doing the same things all the other children, the white children, were doing. In the dining hall, there was no table for Rayla, not because there weren't empty chairs, but because people said there's no room at the table for Rayla and child. The empty seats were for other people, and they couldn't make room for them. And when a guest preacher named the elephant in the room of the ways the camp had its historical roots in racism, Rayla felt elated and witnessed. But other campers complained that they hadn't come to have that mess thrown in their face, but rather to be uplifted. In this place that is a beloved UU community, a place for healing and connection, our faith community let Rayla down. When our theology calls on us to create a community of belonging and inclusion, we sent them the message that there was no room. Rayla concludes by asking us, "Who is standing in your dining hall looking for a seat at the table? And can you make room for them too?" The people at that conference were probably not making a conscious choice to exclude someone on the basis of the color of their skin, But sometimes it's really hard to give a good welcome unless we've really given thought to the messages our actions are sending and who we're truly expecting to be a part of the community and how that may change and challenge us. One of my favorite tools to help us welcomes from UU educator C.B. Beale, who teaches a concept called preemptive radical inclusion. In essence, preemptive radical inclusion starts from the assumption that, quote, all people are my people, and that we are making a place at the table for all. And we never stop thinking about who is not at the table and whose voices aren't present or have been marginalized. As CB teaches, preemptive radical inclusion is a way of being, of leading. It is not a box to check off in a planning process, i.e., put out a call for diversity, so check, inclusion done. It is instead a lifelong practice. It is preemptive because it anticipates needs rather than expecting others to make their needs known, because we have already planned for them. Preemptive radical inclusion means that we intentionally position ourselves before we know anything at all about anyone in the room, to presuppose that everyone is already and always in the room. It is radical because if we are doing this correctly, the created experience won't be the expected experience. It might even be dramatically, radically different. And then let's define inclusion. It doesn't simply mean that we include others in our circle of what we already do and how we do it, but expand the experience to encourage deep involvement and make that involvement possible. Inclusion with equity means centering the voices of the most marginalized. We involve others in the creation of our projects and communities. Our we becomes larger, and what we do and how we do it transforms into something new. CB reminds us, we all get free together. Within our Unitarian Universalist Association and in this congregation, we strive to create communities where everyone feels like they belong, where we welcome people from diverse racial and socioeconomic backgrounds, gender identities, sexual orientations, and abilities. It's right there, articulated in the words of welcome our worship associates read each week. But it raises the deeper question, why do we want diversity? What's our motivation and our ultimate hope? The late Bell Hooks, an African-American feminist author and teacher, asks the question this way: what is all this clamoring after difference? Quote, all the clamoring is about seeking wholeness. Guilt leads to angry denial and inaction. Responsibility leads to grudging good works. The call to seek wholeness has room for acknowledging feelings of guilt and anger, frustration, room for accepting appropriately responsibility, and plenty of room for moving toward personal and communal transformation. Still quoting, all the clamoring is for each person, each perspective, each truth to be granted sufficient respect so that we truly listen to those ideas and allow ourselves to be truly challenged by them. All the clamoring is for us to recognize that our lives are intertwined, so intertwined that each is accountable to the other. Each particular story, truth calls us to accountability, calls me to accountability for my life, my limits, my individual and our collective transformation. All the clamoring is for the truth. I need you, who you are, the experiences and perspective you bring, so that I may know truth beyond my partial truth. She concludes, all the clamoring is for justice. We need each other and what we can all do together for justice. So, my beloveds, think of our congregation, committees, and communities. Who is waiting on the edges, looking for a seat at our table? How can we go beyond the phrase, all are welcome, to create spaces where we celebrate and care for each other in our myriad different experiences? If we were to remember that none of our experiences of living or loving can be comprehensive because each of us holds clues the others need about how to live with dignity and joy as a human person, if we were to remember that, what would we be called to do? I close with words from the UU songwriter and lay leader Herb Tyson, who passed away a few years ago, but whom I remember fondly. He wrote this song for his congregation in Mount Vernon's in-gathering service, and I offer its chorus as a blessing and a call to all of us. Our doors are open and our hearts are too. Whoever you are, we've been expecting you. The interlude is an excerpt from Concerto in C minor by J. Seebach, performed by Eva.
Our closing words this morning. This is the mission of our faith, come from former president of the UUA, William Schultz. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. Our final hymn is One More Step. It's number 168 in the gray hymnal. You are welcome to stand if you'd like.
One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word. One more prayer, we will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
And now, as we extinguish our communal and personal chalices, we will close with our unison sending words. I invite you to repeat after me. Our service here is ending. Our service to the world begins anew. Go in peace.